Landowners block access to LNG plant site. Telikom workers petition government. And lay police disgusted with arson attacks on stations.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Monday's news. Landowners from 4 villages in Central Province this morning blocked off access to the PNG LNG plant site over concerns regarding royalty payments. The villages from Papa, Boira, Poribada and Lele blocked off access to the plant site from as early as 6 a.m., forcing traffic into the plant site to be halted.
This morning, villagers from the impacted areas gathered at the PNG LNG plant site where they proceeded to stage a peaceful sit-in protest. According to their leaders, the actions are in response to continuous unfavorable actions by the government, more specifically the non-payment of royalties. The landowners claim they are owed in excess of 200 million kina in royalties from LNG shipments dating back to May 2014 when the first LNG shipment left this facility.
Yeah, we have now come up with a protest because of we've been not been paid since 2014. Our royalties, I'm talking about royalties and equities, and we've been not paid from 2014 till today. But unfortunately, it has come to this time that they have reversed their decision, saying that they will not pay us. We have gone through all the processes as for the DPE. I have known about all our information from 152. We've been following them since doing all the CV processes, and also we have come about to the last thing where the accounts for all clan heads have been opened. Yeah, so we are at this stage where we are to be paid.
The actions by landowners from the plant site come just months after landowners from the project's wellhead areas also raised similar concerns. These landowners are adamant they will continue this protest for as long as it takes.
Papa, Boira and Poribada. We are PLOs with segment 8. We have been gazetted by the national government, and we were supposed to be paid last November. All clan veterans, all requirements are done. Everything is done.
Despite the large crowd, police presence has so far ensured minimal disruptions, with Central Provincial Police Commander Laimo Asi commending the villagers for conducting themselves in an orderly manner.
That the project site is closed, nobody need to go in there, no damages should be done. They want to do the peaceful protest, it will be out of the gate. Also, I warn them that there is no roadblocks. The road must be open for public to use, as there are other innocent people around here who are either developers or the general public who are not part of this protest have to have access. And they've been warned, the leaders have been warned that I'm going to hold them responsible if anything goes wrong.
In a statement, an ExxonMobil spokesperson has told MTV News that while this matter is a matter between the landowners and the government, ExxonMobil PNG is continuing to do everything they can to facilitate communication between all parties.
We respect the right of individuals to peacefully protest, but we also encourage continued dialogue between landowners and the government to resolve their outstanding issues. We hope that the landowners and the government can resolve this situation promptly and in an amicable manner. We are committed to maintaining a positive relationship with landowners and the government and the wider community. The LNG plant is continuing to operate.
Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
In response to the action taken by landowners of the PNG LNG plant site, Petroleum and Energy Minister Nixon Duban has called for the people to respect the process. In a statement this afternoon, Minister Duban acknowledged the delay in royalty payments for the affected communities, but has also called on them to respect the work being done by respective agencies. According to Minister Duban, the Department of Petroleum and Energy, together with Mineral Resources Department Company, MRDC, have already commenced the process in identifying the genuine landowners, which will in turn allow these benefits to be paid out. He has therefore instructed the Acting Secretary of DPE to meet with landowners and to assure them of the government's commitment to the people. Whilst this is ongoing, Minister Duban has appealed to the people in the affected villages to work together with the state to find an amicable solution. Staff at the Telikom PNG head office staged a stop-work protest today over the recent National Executive Council decision to restructure state-owned enterprises in the telecommunications sector. A 9-page petition was presented to government officials calling for NEC to revoke its decisions, including the merging of Telikom PNG, B-Mobile and Dataco Limited. Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari received the petition on behalf of the government.
Nearly all the staff of Telikom PNG and other union members were out in numbers this morning to witness the presentation of the petition to the government. Their action follows a National Executive Decision 360 of 2016. The Chief Secretary to Government was welcomed at the Telikom headquarters. National President of PNG Communication Workers Union, Nuk Mamtirin, says the union believes there are flaws in the NEC decision.
Upon better, fit, quality person who will respect the laws of this nation to be appointed as the chairman of Kumul Telecom Board and CEO respectively.
The petition includes 9 points for the Prime Minister to reconsider. Included in the petition is the question over the appointment of Mahesh Patel as chairman of Kumul Telecom and John Mangos as CEO. Other key points highlighted are for the government not to allow the merging of Telikom with B-Mobile and Dataco since Telikom was established by an Act of Parliament in 1996. Upon receiving the petition, Chief Secretary Isaac Lupari says Prime Minister Peter O'Neill will respond to the concerns raised.
Prime Minister talk MRI. You go simple na. Now you mean sit down na look na mi bla give mo bla feedback. Go union na you bla. Asa na mi lusung bla lo here. Thank you through la person bla. I'm country bla yo me ya. Thank you. People of Papua New Guinea depend on service.
The PNG Communication Workers Union has given the government 7 working days to respond.
If everyone vote to go out on strike, then certainly we'll take the strike action. Pending that 7 days that we have given to the Prime Minister. If our Honorable Prime Minister, like Secretary said, they'll sit down to it and they'll go through it quickly and they'll get back to us.
Meanwhile, union spokespersons maintain that the standoff today is not a strike but a stop-work protest. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
More than 500 settlers in Saraga were evicted today by police acting on a court order. A Papua New Guinean company has a business lease over the land obtained in 2014. Settlers allege the land was obtained in a questionable manner. Bethany Herman with this report.
Today, an excavator goes through fences, homes and stores at the Saraga settlement. A construction company is taking control of land it claims to have title over since 2014. Customary landowner Sina Saraga says his land is still customary land.
I'm traditional land belong me. Papa belong me, put him sister belong him here, one time Mary belong him na. Time independent come here, all Salem disagree on go to Australia. Okay, ground is stop nothing na. Me place I stand ground is stop nothing. What's him na?
His lawyer Peter Sine argues that the land was an SABL and should have never been obtained after the in-law died. It should have reverted to the customary landowner.
A business lease or that special business agricultural lease, and that they obtained, the allegation is that they obtained by fraud, illegality and corruption.
The construction company couldn't speak to us on camera without the permission from all its board members. But a senior executive told EMTV that the company purchased the land legally from the Lands Department in 2014. Ever since, it has been paying an annual land rate that's over 100,000 kina. The senior executive also told EMTV that the company paid between 2,000 and 40,000 kina to get the settlers off the land, and it also issued an eviction notice that ended on the 31st of December last year. It's understood that police on the ground were acting on a court order to help the company evict the settlers, but settlers say they weren't shown any.
The assistant commissioner, which is Sylvester Kalau, he's the only person must give the eviction notice in NCD in Central. Here we ask for the eviction notice. This police personnel here, presence here, never produce any eviction notice.
The tussle between the land portions may continue in court, but for these women and their children, tonight will be their first night without a home. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, another lot of settlers have come out in the media brushing aside comments that they have been mistreated and neglected. The settlers were relocated in a major exercise back in 2012 after Paga Hill was reclaimed for business purposes. 36 families were moved to a block of land at 6 Mile and given materials to build their homes by the Paga Hill Development Company.
This is the 14 hectares of land that was given to the relocated settlers from Paga Hill. It is located in Saraga in 6 Mile. According to the settlers, each family was given a subdivision block to build their homes.
Okay, mibla bin all settlers come lo here time company kara mibla come na stop lo here mibla yet mibla stop good mibla also all been first time on kara mibla come all been giving some money lo mibla one time all Kai one time all something lo material lafa all talking bla lo working mouse and mibla come one time. Mibla timber na one me money na okay all cement bag na kind of something all giving mibla. So but this la mibla olim na this la mibla salem. Emi tok salem mibla. Wala meri bin tok one time justin stabe alo niswe em salem. Planti blo M2 M2 em salem. Na sambla bla olim stab.
In 2012, these people were relocated from Paga Hill. During this time, they said the company was accommodating. A rep from Paga Hill Development Company said each family were given 20 by 30 subdivision blocks of land. The relocation process was completed by 2013 and was officially handed over in 2014 to the settlers.
We established a tent. That tent was meant to be a transit home. Transit home. I hope all of you understand it. Emblock come stop legally na working house na move up. Okay, mibla CDC step. Mibla tried our best. Mibla work on the company. Mibla push forward. Na mibla push hard so that the agreement was signed and sealed. Everybody now all step. All of them are armed with a land usage agreement. So what I got, but for some reason I don't know why they're living down there. That means sabi. Mibla all get that. We're supposed to be building up here now. Stable house. That transit, when it's supposed to be for 6 months or 1 year. After 1 year, Mibla landed here, Mibla signed an agreement. And the company talked clearly that on the signing day, a company clarifying that you people can move up now.
They felt the need to come forward following recent media reports of negligence and mistreatment. Merlin Daukatam, National EMTV News.
3 suspects have been arrested by Lay police for arson attack on the Vocal Point police station in the early hours of yesterday morning. This is the second such attack in a space of 6 months. Lay Metropolitan Superintendent Anthony Wagambi has expressed disgust at the attacks on police stations.
The smouldering remains of the Vocal Point police station was all that stood yesterday morning when the sun came up. It is understood the suspects waited until the officers on duty had left and then set the police station on fire. The station had been used by the Lay Police Dog Unit. In a statement released late yesterday, the Metropolitan Superintendent said police believe the attack was in relation to the arrest of a robbery suspect from a nearby compound. The Vocal Point boat stop is an important part of Lay City. It's where people travelling to Finchhafen and the Morobe coast arrive and depart. Police have since put a halt to the use of the venue. The attack has left the police unit without a permanent base and has left the area without a permanent police presence. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lay.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Bougainvilleans are mourning the death of the late Governor-General Sir Michael Ogiel. President of the Autonomous Bougainville Government, Chief John Momis, paid tribute to Sir Michael Ogiel and described him as a man of honor. His immense contribution to the peace process and peace building in difficult times is what's being enjoyed today as the people strive for self-determination. Sir Michael Ogiel was first Education Minister in the then North Solomons provincial government, later as North Bougainville MP with several ministerial duties in the national government. Also sending condolences today was Defense Minister Mao Zeming. He came to know Sir Michael Ogio when they were cabinet ministers and as members of the People's Democratic Movement Party. He said Sir Michael Ogio was a humble person and easy to get along with. He was also a fatherly figure whose counsel and advice was always relied on in cabinet. Over 60 delegates from the Asia-Pacific are in the country attending the Asia-Pacific Telecommunity Preparatory Meeting. This is a lead-up to the World Telecommunication Development Conference that will be held in Argentina later this year. This is the second APT-ICT meeting hosted in the country and is among other conferences that will be held before the World Conference.
The first preparatory meeting commenced today in Port Moresby at the Stanley Hotel. Present at the launching was the Information, Communication and Technology Minister Jimmy Miring-Toro, NICTA Chief Executive Officer Charles Punuha, APT General Secretary Ariwan Harangsi, and Asia-Pacific delegations. The APT meetings for this year will focus on regional strategies and objectives for the development of telecommunication and ICT and provide future direction to the International Telecommunication Union development sector before the World Conference. Opening the conference, ICT Minister Jimmy Miring-Toro proposed that the meeting should highlight cybersecurity, rural communication access, increased access to broadband services, and enhancing emergency communications for disaster relief. Meanwhile, he said the government has been doing its part in distributing communication services in the country, with around 90% of the country have access to mobile communication. The World Telecommunication Development Conference is a significant conference for the International Telecommunication Union held every 4 years. Marilyn Diakotam, National EMTV News.
32 staff houses and a clean water project were opened on Saturday at Kujip Nazarene Hospital in Jiwaka Province. The fair housing and water projects are to address overcrowding and the lack of water situation at the hospital. The project was worth over 5 million kina and funded by Australian and US aid and Nazarene Church Missions International.
Nurses, doctors and ancillary staff of Kujip Nazarene Hospital can now access a separate home and a clean, sustainable water system. 16 standalone houses and 4 duplexes were already occupied by these staff. Kujip Hospital Administrator Dr. Scott Dooley said before the project started, there were 32 houses at the hospital which did not have access to clean water supply. With the project, they have shower blocks and access to clean water, which will allow staff to live at the hospital area so that the hospital can run. Dr. Scott proudly encouraged his staff to continue their mission to care for the patients and the people of Papua New Guinea.
We're a great hospital because we have the best doctors and nurses and community health workers, because we have the best ancillary staff, because we have the best project team. You guys all make it such a great place that people want to partner with what you're doing and what you've invested your life in.
Kujip Nazarene Hospital has been providing quality healthcare services to the people of Jiwaka and the Highlands region for over 50 years. Most of the doctors there are specialists from overseas.
These new staff houses we're opening today will ensure that Nazarene Hospital is able to continue to attract and maintain the best staff to work here and serve the patients of the hospital and the people of the Highlands.
Meanwhile, U.S. Ambassador to PNG Catherine Ebert Gray also shared the same sentiments and commended the hospital to have a quality laboratory, best doctors and nurses, and for providing quality health care to the people of PNG for the past 50 years.
The American Schools and Hospital Abroad focuses on building education and health infrastructure throughout the world, and I'm pleased that this first project that they've done in Papua New Guinea is right here in beautiful Jiwaka.
The Fair Housing and Water Improvement Project took 1 year for the project team to complete 32 houses and clean water supply to the staff houses as well as the nearby community. 3 of the houses will be for 3 new specialist doctors who will be coming from overseas to work at the hospital. Basenata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Staff members of the Investment Promotion Authority are excited about the company's new National Staff Home Ownership Scheme policy. The policy now enables staff to express interest in buying a house with the hope of getting support from the organization as well as tap into their savings. IPA Board Chairman Leon Baskins said the organization is happy to contribute to the housing solution.
The staff of IPA gathered to witness their board and management launch the housing scheme policy. This home ownership scheme came about after an in-house survey that revealed that 83% of the employees either lived with relatives or rented from real estate companies and did not own homes. In launching the policy, IPA Board Chairman Leon Baskins said the board believes that the scheme will make the IPA one of the sought-after employers in PNG public service and elevate IPA to the next level.
You, the staff, now can tap into this, and also we can be able to attract and we become an employer of choice, because right now a lot of companies are using housing, roof over heads, as to attract and retain good people. So many of you are good people. You've been part of this, our success. So we want to retain you all through this housing.
He said it was often difficult for ordinary Papua New Guineans to put up equity for a bank loan to buy a house. The assistance to be provided by IPA to its staff would try to bridge this gap. It's a relief for the staff.
Most of our staff live in the settlement to come to work each day. So with this scheme, I'm happy and hopeful that it will help our staff.
Everyone obviously wants to own a home at some stage, and it's something that some of us have been struggling to do over the years. And with the launching of the policy, it gives us that space or that opportunity to get IPA support to help us buy a home for ourselves.
The policy will serve as a guideline for the authority on the parameters within which staff can participate in the scheme. It also provides guide on how staff can negotiate with commercial banks on how to secure finance to purchase a house. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
East New Britain's plan to transform the province into a tourism hotspot is hampered by lack of tourism products. A week-long tourism workshop, which began today in Kokopo, brought to light the need to identify products like tourism sites, accommodations and others which are available but not promoted in a big way. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
What's been greatly heard of about East New Britain province are the much talked about plans and strategies to make the province a tourism destination for Papua New Guinea. But to make that happen, it needs more effort than it seems. Michael Turkia of Tera Tera Consultancy Services has come up with the idea to run the week-long workshop after realizing that the key aspects of attracting foreign tourists to East New Britain province are still missing. Aspects like involving the local people to participate in tourism developments, identifying and packaging possible tourism sites and accommodations are not given the priority.
The preparation is far behind. There's a lot of more expectations, a lot of more projects has to be packaged within the short time. Our purpose of running the workshop is to make clarification to a lot of people, especially ordinary citizens, about the industry.
At least 13 cruise ships came to East New Britain province last year and left on the same day. The workshop this week wants to look at the available avenues to attract more tourists and keep them at least for a much longer period in the province.
That this kind of government policies up at the national level must be driven right down to the community level, so that people must be aware that you will not stop mandating silip to solve kira kai na be nine silip no.
East New Britain province is once known as the biggest producer of cocoa and coconut in the country, but until recently, tourism has been added to its list as another biggest earner for both the province and the country. But the awareness and information about tourism are not trickling down to the ordinary people who are the main drivers of the industry, and its small consultancy services like Tera Tera are trying to fill up the void between the provincial government and the people so that the tourism concept for the province can be turned into something tangible. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3075 $0.3978 Australian dollars, $0.2874 euro, and 34.47 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee closed higher, while gold, cocoa, and copra closed the day lower. Crude oil closed higher, while palm oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 4.28 points higher. The ASX is trading at 2.31 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 0.79 points lower. University of Goroka celebrates 20 years. That story among others when we come back. Welcome back to the news. The University of Goroka is looking at modernizing the institution by expanding the facilities, recruiting senior lecturers, and introducing new departments to capture the high number of students. UOG Chancellor Joseph Sukwenom revealed the university's intention during the opening of the 2017 Orientation Week while celebrating the institution's 20th anniversary. Sukwenom adds this is the basis of building a modern, technological and scientific university in the next 20 years ahead. Martha Lewis with this report from Goroka.
The University of Goroka initially started out as a teachers' college and later became a university. Today marked the beginning of a week-long orientation program for the students, but it also marked another milestone for the university.
We are on business, a very serious business, to build a formidable institution of higher learning. The University of Goroka is on the forefront to build a university we can all be proud of.
Congratulate University of Goroka for its 20 years anniversary and for the job well done, and we look forward to, with my department working closely with you, address those burning issues as you have highlighted. Finance is one of those.
The minister also acknowledged the staff to put through 2016 during the student conflict that arose that had disrupted classes.
Those are issues that I will take on board and consider.
The minister also encouraged the students to study and use talents and the skills they have and not to be distracted by their peers. The university is expecting to register about 3,000 new students. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Goroka.
The chairman of the Morobe Head Teachers and Principals Conference says long-term planning has become difficult for schools in the Morobe province due to the uncertainty of government funding. Christopher Raymond, who is also the principal of Lay Secondary, told EMTV they are not able to plan large infrastructure projects and be sure that government funding will come in time. This situation has put many rural schools in debt.
Christopher Raymond is one of several principals and head teachers in Morobe who are struggling to keep their schools running with limited funding. And this is because TFF funds have seen a decrease since the first year of implementation in 2013.
The total in service actually has dropped also. In terms of funding, the money is actually coming in drips and drabs. It's not always coming in a big amount and at once. In a year, we probably receive about disbursements 4 times in a year.
Also, there has been a great deal of uncertainty as to when the funds will be paid.
In fact, for many schools in our province here, they just can't even plan well. And after money is exhausted, they start going into what they call denial, getting credits from service providers and so forth. And when the money does come again, it just goes into those. But
last year was perhaps the most difficult year for education institutions in Morobe. Many schools didn't get the full amounts promised for the TFF. Lay Secondary is one of the biggest schools in Lay City with over 1,000 students. Until 2013, Parents paid 1,200 kina for students in lower grades and 1,600 for grades 11 and 12. The school was relatively self-sufficient, raising close to 1 million kina every year internally before seeking funding from government sources. When the tuition fee-free policy came into effect in 2013, the fees required from parents were slashed by half as per the policy. Yesterday at a parents and teachers meeting, Mr. Raymond made it clear that the principals and head teachers conference had resolved to charge fees at the beginning of the year to avoid any delays. He's also made it clear that they stand ready for any disciplinary backlash for appearing to go against the government's free education policy.
In Morobe, yes, they had already talked about some of our principals being questioned and then eventually for whatever, charged in suspension or whatever, okay. But we feel that we have not done anything wrong.
Chris Raymond is only one of a handful of principals who have spoken out about the funding shortage. Many other principals and head teachers have raised similar concerns, but are too afraid to speak out publicly for fear of disciplinary action by provincial and national education authorities. But those who have spoken out have made no secret of the fact that they are indeed having difficulty.
So we can commit a contractor to build a classroom when we don't get the money, actual money. We need to have that.
You're talking about the basics, but what about the classrooms where the kids go to sit?
Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The health sector in Papua New Guinea is still striving to address the current shortfall of health workers. Health Secretary Pasco Kase says adequate support must be given to health training institutions. Secretary Kase made this statement during the 4th graduation ceremony at the Mendi School of Nursing.
The Health Secretary was in Southern Highlands Province on Friday to witness the Mendi School of Nursing graduate 19 nursing officers. Speaking to MTV, Secretary Kase said PNG is striving to fill the gaps of the decline in the health workforce. However, there is progress. He says relevant support must be needed for all nursing colleges in the country.
But otherwise, Mendi has been one of the ones that in the last 4 years doing quite well in graduating more numbers than expected.
Mendi School of Nursing has slowly developed in infrastructure-wise. Last year, a new library, 4 classrooms and a foreman dormitory were opened, but the overwhelming enrollment of students has stressed the limited staff number.
There are few, but workload is high. Ratio between a teacher and student doesn't match. Number of students higher with less teachers.
For the institution, it is affiliated with the University of Papua New Guinea and is in the process of accreditation.
We are going to be making some very major changes, which in some ways will make it easier for us to affiliate and have nursing schools affiliated with us.
The National Health Policy 2014 to 2017 states that PNG must have 450 nurses and 1,000 community health workers. For the 90 new graduating nurses, emphasis was to serve in remote areas with the right type of attitude.
Our people need you. They need your service. And that message also goes to continuing students to think about it.
Jacob Pava Jr., National MTV News.
After years of struggling, Mendi School of Nursing has a proper water system. Following the 4th graduation, Health Secretary Pasco Kase opened the taps to signify the opening of the new water system. The new water system is bored 40 meters underground with a capacity of 195,000 liters. Previously, the nursing institution accessed water from the nearby river.
In terms of quality, I mean meeting World Health Standards, water PNG standards. The School of Nursing is one of the first institutions in Settlement Mendi town where ME privileged, now ME #1 in terms of regulated water supply system.
Janet Sios, the businesswoman charged for improper use of ICT services, has had her case adjourned to March 7th. The adjournment came after police prosecution failed to bring her documents to court today. The case went before Waigani District Court Magistrate Mekeo Gauli.
The accused, 52-year-old Janet Sios from New Island Province, appeared with a lawyer before the Waigani Committal Court this morning. For today's appearance, a lawyer was supposed to respond to the submissions from the police prosecution. However, the police prosecutor did not bring in Sios' submissions. Thus, he asked the court to adjourn the case for another 2 weeks. Sios was charged with 1 count of improper use of ICT services under the new NICTA Act in 2016. Police alleged that Sios used social media and wrote offensive words which insulted another woman. She was arrested in October 2016 and has been attending a case since. Sios' case will be returning to court on 7th March for a lawyer to respond to the police prosecution. The court has also extended a bail. Thaklagunga, National EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next, all the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The triumphant Lace Necks Tigers returned today from Fiji along with the Melanesian Cup trophy to show for their successful Melanesian Club Championship campaign. Upon arrival, Tigers head coach Stanley Teppend was happy with his team's huge win over Fiji's Nandi Aviators, but also admits there are a few errors his team will have to fix.
In Fiji, the Lace Necks Tigers were a dominant force of nature, scoring the first 4 minutes after kickoff. The Aviators would find themselves trailing the Tigers 4-18 into the break, only to be met with the onslaught from the Tigers in the second stanza. The second interval was an all-out Tigers affair, as the heavier Fijians could not hold back the fast-playing and flying Lace side, who added 4 more tries to seal the 40-4 victory. A proud coach Stanley Teppend says his side played a more structured game in the second half compared to their opponents.
So the Fiji boys were a bit bigger, taller than us, so we just had to use our footwork. So that created a bit of gap and just offloads. I think that led to a lot of tries. We scored a couple of long-range tries, but mainly off offloads and second phase plays. Our block running really caught the Fijians off guard. I don't think they're used to structure, so that was one good thing for us.
Team captain Charlie Simon shares the same sentiment as his coach. Despite the win, Coach Teppend admits there are a few things needed to be ironed out in the team, considering the repeated mistakes identified during the game.
The scoreline didn't really show how the game went. I think we dropped a lot of ball because this was our first hit out as well, so the boys were a bit rusty on the skill level, but our fitness and structure got us through. And yeah, that is pretty impressive win.
Teppend says the 2017 Digital Cup season is another task that lies ahead, and the 2017 champions Lace Necks Tigers will be ready to defend their title.
Yeah, join the Hunters, and the rest of us will go back to Ley. Give 3 days off, 4 days off, and we'll start training again on Monday. So some boys from POM will stay here, and we'll fly them across on Saturday, give them that 1 week off, and then now our focus will be on the Digital Cup now. So.
Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
The SPPNG Hunters have registered their first trial match win against Northern Pride over the weekend. After watching the game, PNG-RFL Chairman Sandy Saka congratulated Coach Michael Marum and his players for their outstanding performance. Saka added that their win was an indication of the programs and systems the team has put in place for this pre-season. Replying to Saka's comments, Coach Marum says his team is a better side this year, and once they get the combinations right with the players, they will be very hard to beat in the Intrust Super Cup this season. The Hunters defeated the Northern Pride 24-18 at the Kangaroo Oval in Cairns, Australia. The 2017 Telstra NRL Premiership is due in a fortnight, but the New Zealand Warriors are already showing their strengths across the field and what they can do this season. In their last pre-season trial game against the Gold Coast Titans yesterday, a comfortable Warriors side took an easy 26-6 win.
It was a fidgety start for the Warriors as early season jitters became apparent in the opening quarter, though they were quickly ironed out as the game continued. Newly appointed captain Roger Tuivasa-Sheck was the X-factor this time, playing prominent roles in a number of tries that were scored, and even scoring two himself. This performance was better than the previous match they played against the Melbourne Storms, where the Warriors lost 18 points to 30. The New Zealand side will face Newcastle for the season opener in a fortnight. Dinros Raiko, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The second week of the New Look Port Moresby Soccer Association pre-season and plans are afoot for a more inclusive program, with youth development also a key aspect of change. Over the weekend, the second round of matches were played, with interest building momentum after 2 years without games.
Part of the plans that have been mooted include an under-15 competition, and in light of the Under-20 Women's World Cup held last year, competition manager Robert Sabati has stated the development of the women's game was also part of PMSA's plans for growth.
Yes, PMSA wants to get more girls playing football. They're creating under-17, under-20, and all the league clubs need to have a women's team to participate in the women's league this year.
The new competition will be looking at clubs also having various divisions within their fold, including a premier, a reserve team, as well as women and youth sides.
Interest of the new clubs and all clubs has grown up, and expect to have a lot of clubs and clubs to take part in the proper season this year.
Sabati has said that the Port Moresby Soccer Association has long since suffered without proper competition conditions, and with the new facilities available, there is the anticipation for better quality in their association in terms of competition. Since August of 2014, football in the nation's capital had suffered, having forced the long-running organization to move elsewhere, especially after the closure of their grounds, which was done so in preparation for the Pacific Games the following year. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
And to football overseas, Manchester United recovered from an early deficit to beat Blackburn Rovers in the FA Cup in England. The FA Cup places top clubs against lower divisions. Rovers, whose priority is to avoid relegation to English soccer's third tier, took the lead in the 17th minute but was levelled before half-time. 12 times FA Cup winners United dominated the game after their break, but had to wait until the 75th minute for striker Zlatan Ibrahimovic to slot the winner after being set free by a precise long pass delivered by fellow substitute Paul Pogba. It was Swede Ibrahimovic's first goal in the FA Cup and 24th in all competitions this season. And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, fine and sunny in Port Moresby and Alotau, showers in Daru, showers or two in Kerama and fine in Popondetta. In the Momasi region, cloudy in Lae and mostly fine in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine and sunny weather expected in all centres. And in the Highlands region, cloudy periods expected in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Landowners block access to LNG plant sites in the Central Province. Telikom workers petition government, and lay police disgusted with arson attacks on stations. And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire EMTV news team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.